historical periods, it is a challenge to ensure some sort of consistency in terms of spelling. Therefore, a few words on the choices made for this book. The Chinese city Nanjing was written Nanking by Westerners in 1937, but to avoid confusion, I have opted for the modern spelling. The same goes for Jiangnan Cement, which 8 decades ago had alternate spellings as well as other similar cases. Modern spelling implies using the pinyin system for transliteration of Chinese names, such as Tianjin instead of Tianjin. The old imperial capital, which was called Beiping or Peiping in the 1930s, is rendered as Beijing here. There are a few important exceptions. The Chinese leader in 1937 is written as Chiang Kai-shek. Similarly, the name of China's biggest river is given as Yangtze, not Chenjiang. The Chinese practice is to put a person's family name first, which is also the way Chinese names are most often rendered in Western languages. This practice has been followed here. Likewise, the Japanese place the family name first, and although there is no uniform practice in the West, I have decided to do the same in this book. The company that Sindberg worked for was spelled F.L. Schmidt and this is the form I use in the text when describing events happening in the 1930s. The modern rendering without punctuation is used when referring to the company today, most importantly in the notes about the corporate archive in Valby, Denmark. Introduction. The Dane. 1937. The winter had only just begun when the Japanese arrived. The foreign soldiers did not look like anything the Chinese peasants had ever seen before. "Devils," they whispered. The Japanese were small but strong, and many of them had let their beards grow to considerable lengths. They had been on the road for a long time. Their khaki uniforms were covered with weeks-old dust, and cakes of dry mud stuck to their footwear. The only thing that looked clean was their weapons. Rifles that seemed longer than the men who carried them, and bayonets that glittered dangerously in the short moments when the cold sun appeared from behind the gray clouds. For the people inhabiting the fertile land south of the Yangtze River, the year of the ox was about to end. In the West, the same year had the less poetic name, 1937. Wang Liang was 13, and he was old enough to sense the ominous atmosphere all around him. Together with his mother and 2 younger brothers, he lived in a village just outside Nanjing, China's capital. He had seen how the Chinese army had retreated before the arrival of the Japanese, and then he had heard the sound of fierce fighting as the defenders made a last stand before abandoning the city. Now it was quiet, and people said the war would soon be over. But perhaps the real misery was only about to begin. There were rumors about the Japanese. They were horrible rumors about looting, murder, and rape. The violence was intense in the narrow alleys behind Nanjing's ancient walls, but even the countryside outside the city was not safe. The Japanese moved from village to village and left, dragging all livestock with them: ducks, geese, bulls, and pigs. They set fire to buildings along the way, sometimes while the occupants were still inside. A particularly savage episode took place in the village of Chenjiao, where they had herded together 33 Chinese men. Some of the prisoners were former soldiers, but there were also civilians among them. Everyone was killed with rifles and bayonets. Next to Xiamen, one of the enormous gates leading through the wall into Nanjing, the bodies of 80 Chinese soldiers filled a pond, along with the bulging cadavers of their horses. And then there was the treatment of the women. There were stories of young girls who were gang-raped by the Japanese before unspeakable things were done to them with broken bottles. When the Japanese reign of terror was a week old, Wang Liang's mother decided that the little family could not stay in the village any longer. They packed a few necessities and started walking east, away from Nanjing. Wang Liang carried one of his 2 younger brothers on his back, and his mother carried the other. The first place they stopped was at Shixia Teachers College. They joined a large group of farmers who had sought shelter in the spacious main hall of the school. It gave them an immediate sense of security, but the feeling was deceptive, and it lasted only briefly. That same evening, a group of Japanese